Now we're coming into some resistance up here on the NASDAQ. All right, so let me see if I can show you what I mean by a swing type entry. A scalp entry, I'd be entering in right around here if we can get a nice up thrust. But from the swing entry, what I'm waiting for is the market to go a little bit more sideways, show that sellers have control, and then I can find an entry.
Suspended its recently announced crude sale from the Strategic Petroleum Reserves up to 12 million barrels. And crude getting a pop now.
So see, just doesn't look like it's ready yet. We're not getting that proof. We're pushing into the zone, and we're getting into the area of resistance. And from a scalper's perspective, I'd be hitting the ask right now. From a swing type perspective, where you're looking for those better entries a little bit later, but higher probability, then you're waiting. Right? You're not necessarily higher probability. It depends on the risk reward. Typically, swings are lower probability.
Closes border with Italy, according to HZ.
See, so we really didn't find a good enough pattern to sell in here from the swing perspective. And I say swing, I'm talking about a 10-second chart, but hopefully you know what I mean. So that zone didn't really help us a whole lot. Waiting for the next one. Now we're in the next zone. Again, as a scalper, I'm hitting the ask right now.
With Mnuchin.
Right, so the scalp entries, I'm looking at this thinking, hey, hot diggity, right? Jump in, looking for a quick little push back, see if we can grab a scalp. And I'll take it as a scalp. That's fine with me. I like this area. See if you can get a quick 10 to 15.
U.S. Senate Majority Leader McConnell says, I will discuss economic relief with U.S. Treasury Secretary Mnuchin.
Nice little push back. Nice quick little sell. So that's the scalp entry. Right, now I'm waiting on the swing entry. Kind of curious as well. We have a full-blown reversal.
Pharma shares continuing to pop here.
Off of this move. Would be curious on a deeper pullback. Anyway. So trying to get a secondary push. Selling here for the swing type position, right? Waiting for that secondary confirmation. Now, it doesn't mean that this is going to be the only entry that I'm going to take, but you see how I'm spacing it out. I'm waiting for proof. I'm approaching it in a very different manner. I would even prefer to see it drop down, come back up, and give me another area of interest. Right now, objectives are 2 to 1. So target right now is 82.16. So we can go a couple different ways from this, and I can show you a few different ways to make it kind of nice. There's another entry if you're not already in. Sellers can be selling here right now, looking for a high reward with a small risk. Stop above the highs. Don't put your stop right at the top. That's really stupid. Put it a little bit above the highs, right? Give yourself a buffer. But if we can get another push up, a lower high, and a failure back down, then we have an even better entry point. So where I entered down here is an aggressive early entry from the sell side swing perspective. The conservative entry we haven't had yet. That would be up here if we get a halfway decent bear bar.
SPEX, SPEX shares halted. AYTU shares resumed trading.
Didn't trigger. So we have to wait again.
I2 Bioscience resumes trading now. Alpha Yankee Tango Uniform.
Look at that bear bar. See if they can come back on themselves a little bit. That was a heavy bear bar. Do you see the difference in approach? Right? It's the same thing. I'm looking to do the same thing. It's just a little bit slower, right? We're taking a little bit of extra time to let the market kind of adjust itself. going to modify a little bit higher. It's slightly shallower than 2 to 1 for the risk, but it appears as though there's a lot of support sitting underneath 82.18, and I really don't want to be the one to have to deal with that. So. See how simple this can be? You don't have to worry about the scalping, right? Especially with these periods of high volatility, you can jump into a 10-second chart and it'll still be like a swing trade. It's ridiculous.
For those of you who would like to watch President von der Leyen make a speech, we have posted a video for you live on the Financial Juice newsfeed to watch with us.
Come on, 1875. Tested, no fill, huh? Right, I'm not about to let that slide back. I'm going to take it right there. It hit my target, didn't fill me. No thanks. I'm not giving back 70 ticks. So that's the difference between a scalp and a swing entry. Do you see it? Right, and I'm glad I could show both, because the scalp entry is just taking it immediately. As soon as the probability is in my favor, I'm in. And I'm not looking for a huge move. I'm looking for 10, 15, 20 ticks. But when I'm given the opportunity to take a swing trade, I'll take the swing trade too. You just got to wait for a difference in pattern. That's all.
President of the Commission von der Leyen says airlines are to win relief on slots